City Matters.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Richard Acritelli, and on today's episode of The Fog of War and Humanity here on hmTV, my special guest with me today is Angel Flores. We'll talk about his moments in the United States Marine Corps during the invasion of Iraq and his time today as an important member of military nonprofits. Here we go. Let's get started. Angel, where did you grow up as a kid, and what were some of your interests?
Oh, well, good to meet you. And
Thank you for coming down, Angel.
oh, definitely anytime. I grew up in Rosedale. I was born in Brooklyn, but raised in Queens.
Okay.
It was a good experience. Humble beginnings. Parents still married to this day, over 50 years, which is something great to see.
Where in Brooklyn did they move from?
Off Liberty and Lincoln, so not too far from JFK.
Pretty busy area, right?
Oh yeah, back then, yeah.
I drove a truck for a long time, and I did deliveries going from there. Was Atlantic Avenue,
Yep,
going all
straight
the way
down.
in, So now they moved to Rosedale, right?
Correct.
And what were some of the things that you liked to do in Rosedale?
This is back in the day when you used to, leave your house as soon as the sun came up, and you rode your bike, got water out the hose.
Sure.
Came home only to eat, and when the lights went off, that's it,
But mom gave you a swift kick in the behind and
Oh,
said,
yeah.
"You're out of here," and you
Yeah.
figured out how to stay hydrated and eat and everything
Exactly.
else. Did you like to play any sports or anything like that, or?
I used to play a lot of sports. Never joined an actual team. More like handball, honestly. At the park or whatever
Your buddies?
the guys were doing.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when you're in school, what were some of your interests in school?
So I actually went to Thomas Edison, Jamaica Avenue. It was a vocational high school. So I actually graduated as a electrical installation specialist. So that was a pretty cool high school to go to.
And you grew up with you had a trade. You learned that as you were growing up, and
Correct.
you were ahead of the game, right, in terms of graduating. So now, what year did you graduate high school?
I graduated in 2000.
Okay.
And I joined the Marine Corps shortly right after that.
All right, so you go to Fort Hamilton, and that start of your processing was in there and everything. And
My processing ended there. I actually ended up I was working at Coco's nightclub, which I believe is Prime these days in Huntington, Long Island. So I was working there as a floor guy, sweeper and bar back.
Okay.
And one of the bouncers was actually a recruiter. And we went there during the day one day, and he was in uniform. Like, oh, we were always interested.
Sure.
So I actually got recruited out of Garden City, New York.
Good. So you go out of Garden City. That base has been there for a long, long time, right? It was
Correct.
on Stewart Avenue.
Correct.
And you probably had to go into Fort Hamilton as well, right?
Correct.
At some point. When do you end up in Parris Island?
March of 2001, I believe.
Wow. So that's a big,
Yeah.
you're not too far off from 9/11. And
No, actually, I remember when 9/11 happened. I was in my living room.
Let me ask you this before you go into that memory, right? You're serving.
No.
No. But you're between the end of the Cold War and 9/11.
Correct.
You're training. You go in March of 2001, right?
This is the interesting part. I had signed to go. I didn't leave to boot camp yet.
Wow.
9/11 happened. This about a week before I was supposed to go to boot camp. And I remember waking up and seeing it on TV. And this is back in the day when, remember, TNT was showing all these natural disaster movies and stuff like that. I actually thought it was a TNT
Like a film.
happening on TV until I walked out my front door. And in Rosedale, where I live at, I live right on Jamaica Bay. So you can see JFK, and then behind JFK, you used to be able to see the Twin Towers. Wow. So then from my porch is when I saw the Twin Towers coming down, I realized that this was real life.
This was real. And you saw it for days on end. You could see the smoke from that point.
Correct.
And, wow.
Yeah. And then actually the night before, there was this 24-hour arcade in Chinatown, and we were hanging out there, and then we would go to the Twin Towers afterwards because they would play live music at the base.
Wow.
So we'd go hang out there, drink a few things we probably shouldn't be drinking, but
Yeah, well, you're
I
a
was
kid,
there. I was there the
right?
night before, and then a few weeks after.
So you were there the night before 9/11?
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you often think about that?
Yeah, it's surreal, you know, just the timing of everything and how everything happens, you know, and it made you want to go even quicker because they called me. They were actually giving the guys the option of not going to boot camp.
Wow.
Because they wanted to make sure that the guys were going and wanted to go, and that no one was getting stuck and scared. And I remember when they called, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll see you when you pick me up."
From where you lived, did you have people that passed away from your community or your town in that general area?
In my community, yes, a lot.
Wow.
No one directly in my family though.
But firemen, police officers.
Oh yeah, firemen, police officers,
people that worked in the towers,
lawyers,
wow,
everything. A lot of people don't realize that it's all different types of people worked in those twin towers. It wasn't just.
It just wasn't one group.
Yeah. You know, there was cleaners, everything like that.
Amazing. Like, it's just something like that could happen. And you look at those movies from the 80s and the 90s and stuff, and you always see the Twin Towers and, you know, sitting over the skyline. It's just, even to this day when I go in there.
Yeah, I still expect, when I go to the city, I still expect to see them. And, you know, it's a big open space now for the most part.
So you go in after 9. So when do you go in to the Marine Corps? When do you start doing your training?
I started doing my training at Parris Island right after 9/11, and then
that September or October or
it had to be that November.
November. And what was the feeling from the training? That's why I was asking before.
Oh, the feeling?
Because you enlist in between.
But
the Cold War and 9/11.
Yeah, we enlisted knowing that we were going. We enlisted with a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just like we need to. Originally, when I first signed up, it was like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? And then like, what am I going to join? I'm going to join the Air Force, Army, nothing against them. But then it was like, no, I'm going to join the best. I'm going to join the hardest, you know. But then after that happened, it was with a purpose, you know.
Okay.
It's I grew up being able to run in the streets, have fun, and feel safe. And I've come from a family of 6.
Wow.
I always wanted to have kids. And
Sure.
then, you know, the fear of losing that freedom. You know, you went in wanting to retain that freedom for your family first, but then for everyone else around your family, which ends up being the country.
Did you have any family members that served? Did you have any cousins? Parents?
My grandfather was in the Italian Air Force. Never met him.
Okay.
Passed away a long time before I was born. And then all my uncles were in the Vietnam.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they talk about it that much to you?
No. The older guys usually never
Very
talked
little,
about it. Yeah.
Right?
I think nowadays we get a lot more of Vietnam vets to talk more than what they used to, from my experience.
Yeah, because they were told years ago, don't say anything, go home.
Yeah, they had a
Why
hard
pick
time.
a fence, get a job, do this, but don't talk about your experiences.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of guys that told me that the worst thing they could do going to a job application was mentioning the fact that they served. A lot of guys would deny that they served in the military, you know, just to
because it was frowned upon. Yeah. And you walk through the Holocaust Museum here, you think about like the liberators that liberated the camps.
Yeah.
Right? And they were told, don't say a word.
Yeah.
How don't you talk about any of this stuff?
Yeah.
And a lot of these men who liberated the camps, as you see in the museum, didn't say anything for decades. Usually they told their grandchildren. It like skipped a generation.
Yeah.
And
it was PTSD, the way it's big out there now and everybody hears the word, but no one really understands it.
Yeah.
It's something that existed for a long time. It was just something that was shunned upon that you couldn't talk about.
It's a different line of thinking today,
Yeah.
right? So, all right, so now you're in Parris Island.
Correct.
You're there in November, 2 months after 9/11. We're already starting to move against the Taliban. I think it was like 19 days after 9/11. We had boots on the ground in Afghanistan, you know. And what was the feeling from the instructors? So when you were there, you knew, right, in terms of them.
We knew.
It was no joke, right, the training.
But surprisingly, the instructors did not bring that up directly a lot because it was always in the back of the mind of everybody. They focused on the training. The mission was the training, and that's what it was. They didn't use it as an extra tool to scare you into like working harder.
You guys were already pretty motivated as it was.
Yeah.
Did you talk to, you know, other cadets that were down there, other Marines that were down there, that about what could quite possibly happen with you guys? Because we've never seen anything like this before.
It was interesting because it was me and probably 2 other guys from the East Coast. Everybody else was from down south. And there's a complete different train of mind of thinking, and they were 100%, 120, 200%. Like that's something that they grew up, that was a dream for them versus I guess for us city boys, it's more like, It's an option.
Yeah. Get the GI Bill out of it.
Yeah.
You kind of leave home. You have different scenery, that sort of thing, right? And now you had a vested interest, though, because you're a city kid. You grew up seeing it, right? Michael Murphy was going through SEAL training as it happened. And the higher up commanders, out in Coronado, California said, this means we're at war. And then Murphy's, biographer said about him, he was already there. Because he grew up in Patchogue, he grew up on Long Island, he had family, friends, family members work in the city, and so on. Yeah. And it was tough. That's why, like with the 9/11 bills, other states, other representatives, politicians, they don't really understand how bad it was here,
they don't understand it wasn't their home. That's the problem. It was our home.
They knew it was bad, but they didn't really have quite that understanding.
They didn't see the city. I think the only other time the city ever shut down like that, where it was quiet, where people didn't talk, was COVID.
And they shut down the planes and everything. And I taught in Hicksville, and it was my, I was teaching, and the planes, hit the buildings, and I was in the military out of West Hampton Beach, and I had to leave. And the kids told me there are aircraft carriers off of Jones Beach doing all the, flyovers over New York City and everything. And I remember seeing all the ships waiting to get out there, to get back into the city and drop their goods and services and everything. And you don't forget things like that. No matter how old you get, you don't.
No, I'll always remember the quietness. It was quiet, but you would look at someone else and you would just nod your head, and we all understood. It was like a unspoken understanding, and then a big brotherhood came out of it. Whether you were in the service or not, there was just this thing. If you were from New York, like
there was
everybody was like brothers and sisters. Yeah. Everybody was like, we have your back no matter what.
And politics was pushed aside.
Exactly, right? Politics didn't exist at that time.
And now, when you were training, did they, because this is really before cell phones, I mean, the cell phones were there, but it doesn't have the same technology as today. Did they kind of keep you abreast of what was going on, like in Afghanistan, or?
No, not really. They focused on the training. Training, that's it, for the most part. They wanted to make sure, because we knew that we were going. Yeah. And they knew that we were going. They wanted to make sure that we had the training correctly and that we weren't, focused on something that we, worried about something that we shouldn't be worried about until we got there.
When you spoke to your parents, whether through letters or through phone calls, did they tell you, hey, this is what's going on, or they just wanted to see how you were doing? And
I love you. How you doing? Yeah. Doing great. I told my parents I was going. They didn't believe me until they picked me up.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a big shocker for them. They thought I was joking the whole time.
Wow. Yeah. You weren't?
No. I was like, I'm out. And then they came to pick me up that day, and I was like, I told you guys.
Now, what do you do after you graduate from Parris Island? Where do you go?
Then you go to your MOS school. I was administration, so I went to administration school. And that was smooth. That was easy. But
what did they teach you there?
Just basic admin work. But as a Marine, you also go to infantry school.
Sure.
So you're an infantryman first. So we did that also too.
How did you like going there?
Oh, I just loved it.
Was that at Parris Island, or did you go to Quantico? Or
Parris Island was for boot camp, and then we went Quantico for training.
Quantico, big place, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now after that, where are you at in terms of timing?
Right after that, checked into H&S 225 out of Garden City.
Pretty proud history.
Oh yeah,
there, right?
Yeah. They actually just shut it down. They relocated them to Brooklyn with 6Com.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. We were there probably. Time's a blur for me, honestly, but it was a short period of time before we were getting ready to march out, because we hit Iraq in March
of 2003, right?
Yeah, of 2003.
And were you one of the first guys to go in?
We were one of the first ones. We were actually, our mission was to hold down Nasiriyah, which was 2 bridges in, 2 bridges out.
Wow. Now, what were your feelings when you got your orders that you were going over? Was it in the back of your mind?
Honestly, I think for the most part, at least, I was excited. I know most of the guys I was with was excited. Was there a fear there? I assumed that the fear was there, but we were so pumped up about, defending our country that the fear faded more to the back.
You were a young guy. You had your training behind you. You're a city kid, right? You had these different things where...
And then we feel like we're from the city, so we grew up different. We had this whole mentality where we've dealt with all this
Yeah.
You know, like the fear didn't hit us, at least not me. It didn't hit us right away. And even while we were there, I don't believe that fear hit us. It wasn't until we got home that fear existed.
Sure, sure. Now, when you go to Iraq, you go to Kuwait first and then go through Kuwait into Iraq itself, or how do you end up getting in country there?
We went through Kuwait, yes. And then we drove all the way up from Kuwait to Nasiriyah.
And were you guys one of the first to get into Iraq? Were you one of the first groupings of soldiers?
We were one of the first groups, yes.
Wow. What was your feeling? You're in Kuwait. Did it get serious pretty quickly?
We were in Kuwait probably for like a day, honestly.
Wow.
Just transitioning into the vehicles and stuff like that, unloading everything. It's probably, I say a day, but it's probably more like a week, but it felt like a day. Most of the time was just making our way up to Nasiriyah because there was no given path. You know, we were pretty much making our own path up there.
Did you have any Marine Corps officers or NCOs that were there during the first Gulf War?
I'm sure we did, but as far as I know, I can't tell you any real stories that they've told me.
Or, you know, just in terms of experience?
Oh, yeah, we definitely had experienced officers. One Colonel Froder is a gentleman. I could call him right now, he'll pick up. And he was there with us.
Is he local?
He was part of 225 for a while. I believe he's out in the South now. I'm not sure exactly where he lives now, but I speak to him all the time.
Good. All right, maybe we try getting him down here, and if
definitely.
he's up here, you know, have him talk a little bit, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So now, what was his job? He was your boss when you?
He was a battalion commander.
Wow.
Yeah, he was in charge of everything.
Wow. And when you talk about where were you again in Iraq?
Nasiriyah.
Where in Iraq was that?
You show me a map. I pointed out.
Now, was it a long drive to get there?
It was definitely a long drive. It was quite a few days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And then did you see fighting right away, or were some of the people happy to see you? What was?
Well, I got lucky in the sense where the main battalion went up ahead of us. We were actually left at a base camp where we were supposed to be replaced by a different unit, which never showed up. So then we ended up making the troop to Nasiriyah on our own. It was probably a convoy of probably like 12 vehicles.
Wow.
That was eerie on its own because it was just us.
What did you guys bring with you? What were some of the things that you convoyed with?
Probably the biggest thing we had was probably a Mark 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you guys prepared for this?
I can show you pictures of Humvee doors that we didn't have doors on our Humvees. We went with what we had and we accomplished the mission.
And then down the road, you start seeing the differences in the vehicles, right? Because of the explosives and that kind of adapted.
That didn't happen until we started pulling out. Honestly,
years later,
when we were there, like we didn't have anything. The Army had it. The Army was suited up. The Marine Corps, we took what we had on the ground that was ready to go, and we just left with that.
So now you get up there. What's the first things that you guys do?
Well, I was as soon as I got up there, I got put in with the EPW prison. So it was establishing a prison, creating a moat, securing the building
for the prisoners of war.
Yeah, creating the actual jail, setting up a system of how the arrest went, how the in-processing went, how the transition went between us and the other agencies that were down there for interrogation and stuff like that.
We had a guy here, Monty Granger. He was a major, and he spoke, and he was in Iraq. I believe he was in Afghanistan, and he helped run Camp X-Ray down in Cuba. And he actually was a medic that cared for some of the prisoners of war and some of the guys that were taken that were seen as the terrorists.
Yes.
And it was pretty interesting to hear what he had to say. And like, your experiences are very, very different. You know, you're handling prisoners of war.
Yeah.
Now, did you have a lot right away?
The first few days, no, because we were still established. Once we established it, yeah, it was in and out all the time.
Wow. And what was that like to process? You know, you get a prisoner of war, you get somebody from that country there in Iraq, you're a young guy, you come in. What are some of the things that you remember?
I will say this. The thing that surprised me the most was that we all go in with a stereotype. A lot of these men were extremely intelligent. 3-4 languages, great professions. But the one thing they had in common that we found is that their I guess you would say their culture just poisoned their education.
Yeah.
So that was a huge shock where you have all this intelligence, but then like how the culture just like dumbs it down.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you bring them in, you process them. What was some of the information? Obviously, name, right?
Well, name, professions, jobs. So a lot of what the other agencies wanted to know when we processed them, like what they did for a living, was a very important thing. And then making sure that we itemized whatever they had on, even if it was the smallest scrap piece of paper, because that small scrap piece of paper could lead to something else.
What were some things that they might have?
Medals. Some of them had medals on them, which would say a lot about their background without them actually saying anything. Small things like that. Certain type of clothing would stick out.
What type of clothing?
Just a guy would have a better pair of pants. Whereas, something like that, simple like that, would say that he had a better profession and he was better off.
It's almost class structure.
Yeah. We had a guy that owned a bunch of car lots. So the way he was dressed gave that away, even though he tried to pretend he didn't do anything like that. So it was stuff like that, which when we handed over to the agencies, made their job a lot easier.
Did some of them speak any English? Did you have to go through a translator?
I would say about 50% of them spoke English.
Wow.
When I say like it was surprising, like the level of education that you ran into it, thinking that you weren't going to have that at all was shocking.
Did you pick up Arabic? Did you?
No.
Is that what was spoken over there? Right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So you always kind of work with a translator, and
Yes.
it's unbelievable. Kid from Rosedale, Queens, right? You're at the start of the Second Gulf War, the War on Terror there, and you saw some unbelievable things.
Yeah.
Right?
You really don't think about it that much, honestly, still. It's strange. Like, I'll get together with the guys and we'll talk about it. When I'm with the guys, it's a conversation you have all the time.
What religion? Mostly Sunni? Did you have to do that too? You
we had Sunni and we also had Shia.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
because I know with the northern and southern no-fly zones, you had the Kurds in the north and the Shiites in the south, and they weren't a big fan of Saddam, right?
Correct.
Now, so how many prisoners did you go through? Did you?
Oh, easily over 300, easily.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And was it a time-consuming process?
Oh, it was 24/7.
24 hours.
24/7, yeah.
And did that just go to show you how bad the war was going for them?
Oh yeah, we knew right away. As soon as we got in there, we knew right away that it was more of a handling a small number of resistance. Honestly, the as soon as we got in there, I remember me and my friends stumbled into a what seemed to be a barracks room because we took over their old boot camp in Australia.
Yeah.
That's where Camp Whitehorse was their old boot camp, and you would see their abandoned uniforms. So the army themselves,
They kind of disintegrated,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Now, the colonel that was in charge of everything, he must have ran a pretty tight
Oh yeah,
right? Operation up there.
It was old school. He started off enlisted, made his way to officer. Very straightforward.
And he understood what you guys were doing and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Now, when you look at the prisoners themselves, how long were they held for?
Can't tell you honestly.
Is there was it case by case?
Case by case.
So if they were like a member of the Ba'athist Party or real Republican Guard, Iraqi Republican Guard, they probably got held on a little bit longer.
No, they were there a few days. If they were of something of real power or of real interest,
They were sent somewhere else.
the other agencies picked them up real quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you work with any of those guys? You work in those? I mean, what other
We
government
tried,
agencies were there?
We tried to avoid the agencies, and we didn't want to know what agency they worked for.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see a lot of different faces and a lot of different badges and stuff like that?
Well, the interesting about the EPW prison is there's no rank, there's no ID, there's no identification, there's no name tape. So everybody's technically supposed to be the same person.
Wow.
So even with us, we would have outside officers from other battalions or units come in because they want to tour and they want to see because they're interested, and we would kick them out and be like, "Sir, you may have 20, 30 years on me, but here you have no rank, you have no say.
This is what the structure is. Right?
You got to go."
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And you did this 7 days a week.
Yes.
So it was pretty busy, right? It
Yeah.
was, now, when you look back, you're driving here, you're driving there. You ever think of any of these things where you had like a certain case? Or?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah. It happens. There'll be times. There was a period in my life where I actually stopped driving because I would find myself driving and somehow I would make it home, but there would be like good 5-6 exits where it's just sand around me and me just remembering what I went through and not realizing that I'm on the highway.
Yeah.
But I'm on the highway, so somehow I was still driving perfectly, but
it was taking your mind off of
Yeah.
It's something. So we're going to come back here with Angel for a second episode on the fog of war and humanity here on hmTV. Join us for our next episode, which is going to be very interesting.